of the Light Weavers. I had this dream once, and it was one of those dreams that we usually call lucid dream, because it didn't feel like my mind was digesting and reshuffling the memories of the day. It wasn't like I was fantasizing. It was like I was actually there, fully alert and aware where I am, what time it is, and it was early morning, because lucid dreams usually happen not in a deep sleep, but when you're almost awake, on that borderline between sleep and wake. I was in a familiar place, in nature. There was a small lake nearby and a forest. And there were people standing not far away from me. They did notice me. They acknowledged my presence, but didn't pay too much attention to me because they were busy. They were laser focused on a task at hand. What they were doing fascinated me. It was something between engineering and sorcery. Actually, now that I think about it, sorcery is pretty much the best description of what I was witnessing. These engineers/sorcerers were wielding a shiny energy that looked like electrical arcs. But unlike electrical arcs that we use for welding and light bulbs, those arcs were much more complex, much more sophisticated. And the shapes that these sorcerer engineers were weaving out of those light arcs were very complex. It was like they were building something with those shining arcs of light. And the constructs and shapes that they were weaving left there hanging in the air, vibrating. And as I watched them do it, I thought, this is probably how actual engineering looks like. Some of it, of what they were doing, was not like purely engineering in the human sense of the word. Because when people engineer something, they assume their role of masters. They conquer the matter. They dominate it. And if they fail to dominate it, they try and try again until they dominate it still. What the wizards or sorcerers/engineers were doing in my lucid dream was completely different. It wasn't like they were trying to dominate the energy they were using to build these complex structures from. It was an act of very focused and artistic co-creation. Some of it actually looked like dance. There was something shamanic in it. So this interesting and exciting mixture of shamanism, dance, creativity, and engineering still fascinates me, and I still return to that dream almost every day. And I think maybe there's a chance that people can become co-creators again. Not the silly blind monkeys in a china shop who just randomly pull levers and ropes, creating much chaos in the process, but actually be mindful and open and cautious enough to accept the invitation of electricity to become co-creators. Not dominant species, but co-creators, co-actors, co-dancers with nature. Because electricity is all around us and all inside us. Everything is made of electricity. We take it for granted, as we do with many things. We use electricity and magnetism every day without thinking too much where it comes from. We calculated formulas and equations to describe where it may come from, but it still remains a mystery. Much like Shintoism in Japan, electricity and magnetism is the force permeating everything. And when you go about your daily life, either you're aware of it or not, you are invited every second to be a co-creator. Should you accept this invitation? Or should you keep trying to be a dominant species? You see already, where does it lead you to if you only try to dominate? When you don't dance, when you don't co-create. Inevitably you hit a wall of your own making. Why build this wall in the first place? If you can accept the invitation. It's a lot of responsibility, of course. It's only when you're trying to dominate, you waive responsibility. And that's why you create a lot of chaos in the end. Accepting responsibility, being cautious, being attentive, being alert is the necessary prerequisite to being a co-creator. But only then can you experience true joy. Not pleasure like a loan in a bank that you'll have to pay back eventually with interest, which spoils the fun, but pure joy with no interest to pay, with no hooks or strings attached. Or rather, these strings may be attached, but as you dance and weave these strings into beautiful creations, they're not attached to you for nothing. They are your tool, but they also are your partner. You can find these weavers of light in your life.